Hello, Rose Davidson here, and welcome to the podcast. This episode originally aired as a video on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/doesbiz Mums in Business with Rose Davidson. Hello, Jo. How are you?
Hi, Rose.
Round two. Yes, we went through 20 minutes and we didn't record, so this is round two. So everyone, please welcome Jo Johnson, the content coach, to my series of interviews for busy mums from Mums in Business. Jo helps business owners who want to be more in control of their message and truly grow their business through meaningful connections with their desired audience. This is done through uncovering their unique story, then finding ways to tell it in their own true voice across multiple marketing channels or platforms. Jo offers content creation for those who don't want to do it themselves, for those who may not be able to gain access to learning how to create the content, or just really can't be bothered, or just don't know how and they just have no patience. Included among her content creation services are websites, ad writing, blogs and case studies. Jo is also a whiz at getting ideas and thoughts out of people's heads and onto paper in a way that makes sense to the audience and to the person who's actually got the thoughts in their head. Jo will build a content marketing strategy for you and show her clients how and where they should be advertising, conversing, targeting and converting onto the web. Hi, Jo, and thank you again for joining me.
And you are welcome, Rose. Great to be here.
So the content coach is it that your only business, and when did you start it?
Yes, the content coach is my only business. I started just under 7 years ago, but the business didn't start as the content coach. It started as a copywriting business called How You Say It. There was a play on the phrase, it's not what you say, but how you say it that matters. So I started as copywriting business after being made redundant whilst on maternity leave, having spent 10 years in a digital marketing business called realestate.com.au. And I started the business as copywriting because I knew that was an area that business owners struggled with. I had some web designer friends who always said, you know what, I can never get content out of the clients. It's always the thing that holds up the projects. So I knew there was a need for that. And both my academic background was in writing. It was always my thing. I was always the word nerd. So I knew that I could do that, sort of standing on my head. And it was a great place to start the business that I'd always wanted to start. Fast forward sort of 18 months to 2 years, and I started to get a little bit tired both in the neck and the brain of sitting there tapping away doing this all day for other people. And so at the same time I was getting comments from clients saying, I love what you do, but I really want to know how to do it myself. Because, when I get a great idea at 3 a.m, I want to be able to capture that and explore that rather than wait to call you, by which time it sort of disappeared or it doesn't sound so cool anymore. So I listened to both my heart and my head, and I started to convert my business. And I sat down with my business coach, and in 15 minutes on a piece of butcher's paper, the content coach was born, and that was the new business. So I started to coach people on how to actually explore this idea of their own voice and, getting their stories out in a way that was meaningful, not sort of marketing 101 jargon off the shelf. I still do a bit of copywriting as well, as you said, for those who just can't be bothered or just can't do it. Yeah. But I'm actually a firm believer that everybody can write.
Yes. We all learn at school, but, some people have it and some people don't. I think it's a gift that's endowed to some and not to others, but, yes. That's how it is. So you've written a book.
I have written a book, yes. It's this little lady here called Stories Sell, How to Use Yours to Explode Your Business.
Yeah.
I published it in November last year through Busybird Publishing, and it's been a wonderful tool for my business. It's actually been a great little business card on steroids, literally. It opens doors, and it's really nice for a service-based business to have a little product. I can turn up to events now and have a thing, which always was a struggle for me. You'd see these people in these expos and that with all these gorgeous products, and I love to touch and feel things, and I always wanted my thing. So the book has become that. And apart from that, obviously, it's a great way to invite people into my world and to let them know how I can help them. Because essentially the book is a how-to. It's sort of the part of the coaching framework that I take my one-on-one clients through. Yeah. So it steps you through how to uncover your own voice, and how to listen to that voice, how to find your unique story, which essentially becomes your about page and your social profiles. And then it takes you through how to apply that story in small bits and pieces across all different marketing channels, including social, email marketing, even things like your networking pitch. And then really sort of ends with how do you see your everyday moments, and how do you turn those little everyday exchanges into teachable moments for your people. And you can grab that on Amazon, or you can get it on my website, which is just thecontentcoach.com.au.
Beautiful. And is there another one in the pipeline?
There's always another book in the pipeline for a writer. In fact, there were 2 books prior to this, 2 ideas that I've already sort of mapped out. I just never got around to writing them because I wasn't sure of the reason for writing them. This became very clear to me that there was a reason I had to write this book. But the other 2 are slightly more personal memoirs. So now that I've done this one, I feel like those will come out more easily. But definitely there's a follow-up to the Story Sell book. Even as I was editing it, there were new ideas I kept throwing in, and it was driving my editor crazy. It's like, just finish the book already. So definitely there's a follow-up to that, because there's new things that we learn all the time. And as I expand and grow, I want to share that with my clients.
Yeah. And so we discussed earlier that you do outsource your bookkeeping because you're not really a fan of it. And tell us a bit more about other things that you've outsourced and why you don't like them so much.
Yeah. Look, I have outsourced sort of on a project basis, things like database management. So if I've done an event and I've got a whole list of, even just little things like business cards from networking events, or if I've run a workshop and there's some follow-up stuff, all that sort of administrative type work, I've outsourced that. I've also outsourced web design and updates to my website with opt-ins and funnels and that kind of work. I know how to do it, but it bores me senseless. And it's also not a great use of my time. Whilst definitely, it's all key components and necessary components of my business. If it's not immediately revenue generating, I kind of divert my attention. So I like to outsource those sorts of things. But I'm at the moment looking to get somebody on a slightly more permanent basis from a sort of a VA and content management perspective.
Yeah. Okay. And you were on the Business Playroom for Entrepreneurs with Andrew Eggleton and Renee Hasseldine and Caleb. Can't remember Caleb's last name. This escapes me at the moment. But how was that? And how will you be progressing into any of further seasons?
Yeah, look, it was super fun. We just laughed and laughed and laughed till our cheeks were sore on that day. It really was good fun. I'd met Andrew just shortly prior, and he's a bit like a male version of me. We love storytelling, similar humour, and Renee's just a bundle of energy and amazing at what she does. And so we had a really, really good time. And Caleb's a really interesting guy. We had some quite heated exchanges, which were really cool. It was super fun, and we talked so much that they actually split my interview into 2 episodes. So, I'm hopeful of getting back. I'm not for season 2, but I'm hopeful if they do a season 3, which I'm sure they will, that I'll get back on there again.
Yes, I haven't missed many episodes of that, and I really enjoy them. They're really good value to people out in the wider audience. Yeah. And so getting back to being a busy mum yourself with 2 children, how do you prioritise your work time?
Yeah, it's an ongoing challenge, and as my kids' schedules change, so does mine. My husband works away often, and is also away from the home on a day-to-day basis for a very long period of time. So I'm the primary carer, and so obviously they are a priority. But I also really, really love my business, and it's not a hobby business; it's a proper business. So I have to definitely prioritise that too. So it's just a challenge. And my youngest started school this year, which means that things have changed again. So I mostly work school hours, although I do weekend retreats and other things like that as well. I really just have to get organised. I use both a paper diary and an online diary and my phone very I colour code my things that I need to do. I'm really big on to-do lists. And, the key for me is set aside time that's particularly sort of creative time in 90-minute blocks. And I make sure that all other distractions are off. So I turn social media off, turn my phones off, and make sure that I just do that one task at a time. I got a little bit burnt out and early on in my business, very distracted. I'm a bit of a shiny object person, so I do get very distracted, and I end up going down rabbit holes when I'm searching, and I get excited by new content ideas and all that sort of stuff. So I have to be really strict with myself about setting aside specific blocks of time to do admin, content creation, sales stuff, client coaching sessions, all those sorts of things.
And so your personal equilibrium, how do you manage that with your busy business?
Yeah, I make sure I exercise, and I absolutely take time out to exercise 3 to 4 times a week, and that's my time to switch off. I love it. And I also make sure that I do fun things. I love dancing. I love coffees and wines with girlfriends. And I kind of schedule that stuff in, I just make sure that happens for me. I also am really involved in the school and other things that go on sort of with extracurricular activities with the kids. But I really enjoy all that stuff. And big thing for me is just fun. And the business has to be fun too, you can't, I don't like the heaviness that surrounds a lot of the sort of entrepreneurial space at the moment. There's a lot of very heavy going sort of, I don't know what it is. There's just a weightiness about business, and it's not for me. I'm not interested in that. I think if you want that, go and join a bank. Entrepreneurial life should be about fitting in with what you love, and being your energy. And my energy is, most of the time up, and I'm excited about life, and I enjoy life, and my business is just part of that. And it really is an extension of me.
Great. Okay, and sometimes life gives us lemons. How do you deal with your lemons?
Yes. Lemons. It's not always easy to make lemonade, is it?
No.
I have an amazing supportive husband. That's really one of the first things. He always is there if I want to offload.
Yeah.
And if you don't have one of them, you need to find somebody who you can offload on, who'll take it on and just be there as a sounding board. They're not going to critique you. They're not going to offer a whole lot of advice that you don't want to hear. But having that sounding board is super important for me. As I said, if things go wrong, I will often take myself either out into the garden or I will go to the gym. Because that's a stress relief for me, and I find that once the endorphins are flying again, what seemed terrible is often not so bad.
Yeah.
And I'm actually really good. I've learned to be really good at spinning things positively. So I'll look at the opportunity. If something hasn't worked my way, I'll look at the opportunity, in the alternate result.
Yeah.
So, and one of the really empowering things that I did a couple of years ago was to say no to a client because they weren't right for me. And they were a high-paying one-on-one coaching client.
Brave move.
The most empowering day of my business, because what I did was take back control, and I knew that if I worked with that person, it would be shitty every time they walked into my studio. And I already felt my skin crawl when I was with them. I knew I could help them, but I didn't they weren't the right person for me. So that was one of those sort of, moments where I was like, you know what, this is 10 grand I could really do with right now. But that was going to turn into a really big fat lemon.
Yeah.
Spun that around and I thought, you know what, no, I'm going to say no, but I'm going to find an opportunity to replace that income that would have come from working with him, and make sure that I fill that time with something really fun.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so just wrapping up, Jo, what advice do you have for a busy mum starting up a business, getting a following, whether it be on her Facebook page or in her business or on her website, and being a busy mum and business and finding all the important equilibrium, I hate that word, it's so hard to say, that she needs to have between, her children, her marriage, her life, her friends, her whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing is definitely set boundaries for your work week. So whether you're running another job or whether you've got kids at home or whether this is your full-time gig, set aside time that is just for work. So it could be 5 hours a week or it could be 5 hours a day. Make sure that's work time and that nothing else cuts into that. Obviously, sick kids and that sort of thing can impact, but make sure you set that side of time. Set aside that time and make it your work time so that then you've got a definite off time, which becomes family time or alone time. Yeah, that's the first thing. The second thing is to make sure those boundaries are known by your family. Sometimes we set them here and we go, but hang on, between 9 and 2 is my work time. Why didn't you know that? Why are you calling me? Why are you coming here? Make sure that the people closest to you who could impact or impinge on that time know what your boundaries are. The third thing, in terms of growing a following, I mean, that's a whole other conversation, but growing a following doesn't happen overnight. So I want to reassure you that you don't put up a Facebook post and suddenly have 100 people liking it and commenting on it. Please don't think that's going to happen, because it's not. So what you need to do is to be consistent with your posting, whether it's blog posting, whether it's Facebook posting, Instagram posting, emailing out, actually ideally a combination of all of those. Just be consistent and consistently sharing value, not asking for the sale. Once you have the trust and you've built a tribe of people who see your value, who respond to your way of delivery, who like you, who have gotten to know you, then they will trust you enough to hand over their credit card. But you can't ask anybody to do that until you've actually spent the time and the energy building up that value for them. And the only way to do that is to consistently create content that answers their questions. And you should know, when you start a business, you should know who your audience is and what their 3 top problems are. If you don't know that, you need to go back and do that work. Because until you know what those problems are, you're throwing the proverbial at the wall when you're writing content. You really are, because it's a bit like, oh, I'll put that out there. Does anyone care? No? Okay, I'll put that out there. Does anyone like it? Oh, no? Okay, what next? And you go this sort of scattergun approach. And in actual fact, it might just be that the people didn't see it, not that they didn't like it or that it didn't answer their question, or it could be that you're completely off the mark. And you will never know the answers until you know exactly what problems you answer for your people, and then you consistently put that stuff out there. And you need to do both offline and online work to build a following. So you need to go to networking events. You need to turn up to interviews and things if people ask you. You need to be talking at your local library or your local school or whatever it is, if that's relevant to your business. And then you will start to invite people to come and follow you online. And the persona, both online and offline, has to match. You have to be the same person. You can't be some highly polished, filtered version of you online and then be different in person, because if you don't match, that incongruency, will absolutely destroy any chance you have of continuing and growing a following.
That's excellent. And do you propose that they include personal snippets of their lives? Does that, help with the congruency in their businesses?
Yes, absolutely. If you run a small business where you are your brand, particularly for a service-based business where you're delivering the service, you need to include stuff about you, because your inherent belief system and values are in that business. At least they should be. And that's how we start businesses, because we believe that we can deliver something. We're an expert in a particular area. And so people need to know not just the framework by which you deliver your massages or your business coaching or whatever it is. They need to know a bit more about you, because they're not going to buy into you or want to hang out with you or want to get naked on the table for you, if they don't know anything about you. So I'm a big believer in sharing stuff about your family and your personal life. And I don't mean overshare. I don't want to see or hear anything about your sex life. I don't want to see in tears or, cleaning up your child's vomit. I don't want to know about that. Definitely there is a slightly edited version of you, but it's the edited version of the authentic you, not the highly shiny Kardashian version of you. So, it's a fine line, and everyone's line is different. But we see it all the time when people cross that line. I certainly do. I definitely know that people resonate with me because they like what I'm about. And that's the good, the bad and the ugly. And when they come in my studio door, they know what they're getting. They're not getting some sort of different version of me. It definitely makes you more approachable too, and memorable. Yeah. The whole of you is important.
All right. Well, we'll just share your book again if you want to give us a bit of a plug. Yeah.
There it is.
Go and buy that at the website or on Amazon. And what's the website address again, Jo?
It's www.thecontentcoach.com.au. And if you're interested in joining my Facebook group, it's the Content Couch, because it's a cozy, comfy place to hang out and talk all things content.
Beautiful. Jo, thank you so much for giving up your time today. And, take twos was very good.
Thanks, Rose. Really
right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. I really do appreciate your time. I look forward to sharing the next episode with you very soon. Bye for now.